All right, so today's video is basically a step-by-step game plan, protocol, basically what we did to take Tanya down 15 pounds, 20% in body fat, and build up over 12% muscle all at the same time. So this is Tanya's case study. All right, dog? So for those of you who are new, welcome. Hello, how are you? My name is Steven. Most people call me Sven. I'm an online coach and personal trainer with over 8 years of experience in the industry. You like that little... I have a master's in exercise science and multiple certifications in things like personal training, nutrition, strength and conditioning, things like that. I've been a strength and conditioning coach at the collegiate level and a top club trainer in one of the most successful franchise gyms in the U.S. multiple times. I'll let you do a little research and figure out which ones that is. And I'll give out free information on my Instagram and TikTok, as well as run an online coaching business where every month I select a few people from my applicant list to bring onto my team and network of clients to help them not only achieve their goals, but to learn how to sustain them and surpass them. So if any of that interests you, I will link everything down below. That way you guys can check out, get a bunch of free information and things like that. And then if you have any interest in coaching, any questions, things like that, that'll be linked as well. So a little background about Tanya. Now that you know about your boy, here's Tanya. At the time of recording, she was 40 years old, currently down over 20% in body fat, up over 12% muscle mass, and then there's a typo right there. She's actually down 15 pounds from start. She's a busy boss at her job, mother of two, so by no means does she have all the time in the world to spend at the gym and doing extra cardio and things like that, as well as she's a former basketball player in college, and off rip, she was coming to me with, knee issues, pain, limitability, things like that we had to kind of address and overcome. I'll kind of touch on some of that stuff and how we adapted to that in a second. So here's some facts and stats. Like I said, if you check out over here, started at 183. The lowest we've seen is 168, so roughly 15 pounds. The highest body fat percentage we saw while checking out the diet and nutrition was actually 39.7. The lowest we've seen so far is 21.9. My dishwasher just got done. Shut up. Yep, like I said, 39.7% was the highest body fat. 21.9% has been the lowest so far. And then if you check out the numbers on top here, the lowest muscle mass percentage was 27.4. The highest we've seen is 37, right? So all the numbers check out. One thing I want you guys to take away from this slide specifically is just how non-linear progress is, right? So you see some ups, you see some downs, you see some drastic number changes, and then more steady ones. Progress is not linear. I mean, it goes up and down. If you look at anything, what you want to pay attention to is the trend. So we are trending in the perfect direction here, and so now we will move forward. So during this time, Tanya stopped needing injections in both of her knees from knee pain. Like I said, she was a college basketball player, knee surgery in both knees, ACL. So right off rip, she was coming to me with, pain, limitability, not able to move properly. So that's stuff that we had to address. Tanya's blood pressure and health metrics also improved. Her core strength improved to better than before she had her children. And Tanya's confidence in herself and her ability to do hard things also increased, right? So that's a big one for me when I coach people. I never want to coach someone forever. I want to teach them how to get where they want to be, teach them if they want to stay there, go beyond there, and then kind of be able to send them on their way and have the confidence that they're not going to backslide and things like that. And that's exactly what has been happening. So step one, baseline, right? The first thing we had to do was establish a baseline for both Tanya's caloric needs as well as her abilities to perform movements and exercise. So for the first few weeks, I didn't have her change anything about what she was doing in terms of diet, nutrition, workouts, things like that. I just had her track all of her food and liquid intake to see where her maintenance calories were, as well as to see if there was any areas for improvement in her diet and what she was doing, right? So step one is just establishing a baseline, seeing what you need to survive, what you need to stay exactly where you are. And now, step two was just to increase her protein in low impact movement, okay? So after establishing what her baseline maintenance calorie needs were, before I changed really anything about what she was currently eating, all I did was ask her to increase her protein and water intake. And off the back, she noticed weight loss and muscle definition within the early weeks of just this alone, increasing protein and water, right? Because most people, 99%, that's a fact. I mean, that's a stat that I pulled out of my ass. But I would argue to say that most people don't eat enough protein and don't drink enough water. It's just, we're going to say fact, but run it through the fact checker. Bring me the real statistic, and I guarantee you it's higher than what we think. During this time, we also spent every session together teaching her how to properly recruit muscle fibers and move her body so that she could get the most out of each workout, basically producing the most potential muscle building stimulus possible as we increased her non-exercise activity as well. That's just things like walking, gardening, playing with the kids, flexing, things like that, right? Step 3 was to introduce the deficit and just movement, right? The next step in the process was for me to go in and see how much of a deficit we truly needed to be in, because we don't want to increase it too much off the rip and just crash our metabolism. But to see what kind of deficit we truly needed to be in to accomplish our goals, and then also where the areas for improvement were in terms of macro and micronutrients, as well as continue to teach her body how to properly move, almost burped, and recruit as many muscle fibers throughout exercise as possible to really maximize her time spent at the gym and learn to move without increasing risk of injury. Like I stated, Tanya came to me with some injuries. I did not want to make them worse. I wanted to make them better, and that's my job. And guess what? That's what I did. Moving on, past step 3. Just kidding. This is step 3, part 2, right? So it's not really its own step. It's just kind of what we did within step 3, right? So we introduced volume eating, right? So during the 3rd step of the journey, we learned how to increase the amount of food that Tanya was able to actually eat while still being in a caloric deficit. So she was eating less by eating more. More volume, less calories. Easy swaps. We introduced macro-friendly choices, smart choices, all the fun little macro-friendly meals you see on the internet. I was there to help her, help teach her how to make it more doable, make it a lot more simple, and just easy for her to maintain with her busy schedule. We also learned about nutrient timing and how we can really get the most out of a meal, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask me questions. I'll answer them. Step 4 was the fun part, foes up. The fun, right? And the final step, now that Tanya and I were both comfortable with her newfound strength and ability to move and control her body, we were able to really crank up the intensity and modalities of her workouts, which just accelerated her progress that much more, right? So if you notice, you can even rewind the video and pause it and look at the stats and facts slide, and see like sometimes there's more towards the end, there's been like drastic changes in her muscle mass, body fat, but not necessarily her weight, right? Because we kind of got to a point where she was happy with her weight, but we wanted to keep pushing the envelope on, increasing our muscle mass and decreasing our body fat and just feeling better overall. And those big jumps started to come, around that step 4 where we were able to control our body and not really worry about, am I going to get hurt doing this? We had the confidence in her abilities, so we were able to increase the intensity and modalities, which basically just means, how we were working out, the movements, exercises, equipment, things like that. We were able to increase all that stuff, which just, like I said, accelerated her progress that much more. Step 5 isn't really a step, it's kind of like the what's next. Now that we've established a new baseline, a new maintenance for Tanya, she's given me permission to kind of go back into the diet and make some touch-ups, some tweaks, and start making another push to elevate her physique and fitness to another level. So now I get to go back in there, do my thing, look for more areas for improvement, as well as make changes to intensity and modality of her workouts, allowing her to crush some new PRs and set a new baseline. From that point, we kind of, this should really be like step 1 repeated, right? Because from that point, after we've, I went in there and made the improvements and adjustments, now we just establish whether we want to continue to push or cruise and learn how to live in the new position that we're in, okay? So that's it. 5 steps, and we made all that progress. It's really, really simple. With a coach, it just makes it that much easier because, it's our job to figure out what you need, what we need, and then tell you the easiest way to make it happen. I don't want to say easiest because it's not an easy process, but we're here to make it more doable and easier for you to stick to, okay? So, big question is your coaching for me, right? Is my coaching for you? If you want to continue to try it on your own, if you're looking to do a cookie cutter approach, waste your time and money, stay exactly where you're at and continue guessing what works, then no, see you later. My coaching's not for you. But if you're ready to actually make progress, learn a sustainable method, improve your health, stop wasting time, and see results within the first 30 to 60 days, then yes, my coaching is probably for you. Like I said, I'll link some things in the description for you guys to get a bunch of free information if you want the free stuff, or if you're really serious about making some changes and elevating yourself. I'll link coaching links in the description as well. Yeah,